New digital scan of the Titanic has offered an unprecedented insight into the ship's final moments. A detailed three-dimensional reconstruction of the wreck reveals engineers worked to keep the lights on even as the vessel sank.
The Titanic rests under 13,000 feet of water at a pressure that can crush a submarine like a soda can. It's a place of absolute silence and darkness. So what could possibly be making noise down there? A recent submersible mission exploring the wreck not only filmed something deeply disturbing inside the ship, but also recorded unexplainable sounds echoing from its iron shell. This footage has been kept under wraps because it's so unsettling, but we're about to reveal what the cameras saw and the terrifying truth of what's really happening to the Titanic. Descent into a watery tomb. The journey to the Titanic begins not with a bang, but with a quiet, almost unnervingly peaceful descent. A deep-sea submersible, a marvel of modern engineering named Odyssey, slipped beneath the waves of the North Atlantic, leaving the world of light and air behind. On board, a small, highly skilled crew prepared for a mission that was years in the making, to capture the most detailed images of the wreck ever seen. You see, this wasn't just another dive. The Odyssey was equipped with next-generation 8K cameras and hypersensitive acoustic sensors designed to peel back the layers of time and decay. Its goal was to create a perfect digital twin of the ship, preserving its memory before the ocean consumed it entirely. The thing nobody tells you about the deep sea is the sheer weight of it all. As the submersible descended, the pressure outside mounted with terrifying speed. At 1,000 feet, the world outside the thick viewport was a deep sapphire blue. At 3,000 feet, it was a dark, inky twilight. By the time they passed a mile down, all natural light was gone. They were in a realm of absolute blackness, a place more alien and less explored than the surface of the moon. The pressure here was nearly 2 tons per square inch. Imagine having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. To put it mildly, it's an environment where a single microscopic flaw in the submersible's hull would mean instant implosion. The most shocking fact is, more people have been to space than to these depths. The crew was calm, their training taking over. The descent would take over 2 hours, a slow, methodical fall through the water column. Inside, the only sounds were the hum of the life support systems and the calm, professional chatter between the pilot and the mission coordinator. But then, about an hour and a half into the dive, something new broke the monotony. It was a faint ping, picked up by the external acoustic sensors. The technician leaned forward, adjusting his headset. At first, he dismissed it as a biological source, a whale call maybe, distorted by the immense pressure. But the sound came again, and again. It was rhythmic, a steady tap, like metal on metal. It was faint, but it was unmistakably there. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They were still thousands of feet above the seafloor in the middle of nowhere. There should be nothing out here but water. The mission coordinator radioed the surface support ship. "We're picking up a faint rhythmic acoustic signal," he reported, his voice betraying a hint of confusion. On the surface, the team checked their equipment. Everything was normal. They had no explanation. Down below, the Odyssey continued its descent, the mysterious tapping growing ever so slightly louder, an unwelcome heartbeat in the crushing silence of the abyss. What many overlooked in that moment was the frequency of the sound. It wasn't random. It had a pattern, a deliberate quality that sent a shiver down the spine of even the most seasoned deep-sea explorers. The sound seemed to be coming from directly below them, from the very spot where the world's most famous shipwreck lay. They were descending toward a graveyard, but it seemed the dead were not resting quietly. The team knew that sound travels in strange ways in the deep ocean, but this was different. It felt close. It felt intentional. The sub continued its fall, now shrouded in a new layer of tension. They were no longer just observers on a scientific mission. They were approaching a mystery, and the first piece of evidence was an impossible sound echoing from the darkness below. But the sound was only the beginning of the nightmare. An impossible breach. After 2.5 hours, the submersible's powerful sonar finally painted a picture on the screen, a vast, jagged shape rising from the seafloor. They had arrived. The pilot switched on the external lights, and twin beams of brilliant white light cut through the eternal darkness, illuminating a sight that never loses its power to awe and horrify. The bow of the Titanic. It emerged from the gloom like a phantom, its massive form covered in a century of rust and marine life. Rusticles, like reddish-brown icicles, hung from every surface, giving the ship the appearance of a melting Gothic cathedral. It was a hauntingly beautiful and somber sight. The submersible began its survey, its cameras rolling, capturing every detail in stunning clarity. You can see this everywhere on the wreck. The silent, gaping hole where the grand staircase once stood, the eerie, empty davits that once held lifeboats, the portholes like vacant eyes staring into the abyss. The Odyssey moved slowly, its robotic drone, named Argus, detaching to explore the more delicate areas of the wreck. The rhythmic tapping sound was much clearer now, and the sensors confirmed its origin. It was coming from within the forward section of the hull. Many people are crazy about the idea of ghosts on the Titanic, but this wasn't a whisper or a wisp of smoke. This was a physical, measurable sound. The crew guided Argus towards the source, navigating through the ghostly, decaying elegance of the ship's upper decks. They passed the captain's cabin and moved along the boat deck, the drone's lights revealing hauntingly preserved artifacts. A stray boot, an unbroken bottle, remnants of a life cut short. Then, the drone's camera caught something that made the entire control room fall silent. It was in a section of the officers' quarters, an area that, while damaged, was known to be structurally intact. There, on an interior wall that separated two cabins, was a jagged hole. It was about 3 feet wide, and the steel around it was peeled back, twisted, and torn. But here's the part that makes no sense. The most shocking fact is that the direction of the damage was undeniable. The steel was bent outward into the hallway. It looked as if something had punched its way out from inside the cabin. This wasn't damage from the sinking, that would have crushed it inward. This wasn't decay. Rusticles don't tear through solid steel plate. This looked recent. This looked violent. The metal around the edges was brighter, with less marine growth than the surrounding surfaces. To put it mildly, it was an impossible sight. The team stared at the monitor, their minds racing. The tapping sound was loudest here, a clear metallic ringing that seemed to emanate from the darkness beyond the breach. What could be inside a sealed room of the Titanic, 100 years later, with enough force to tear through a steel wall from the inside? The pilot maneuvered the Argus drone closer, its high-definition camera zooming in on the dark opening. The rhythmic tapping stopped. For a moment, there was only the sound of the drone's thrusters. Then, for just a fraction of a second, something inside the hole seemed to shift, catching the light. It wasn't rust or debris, it was pale and smooth, and it moved with a horrifying quickness before disappearing back into the blackness. The crew replayed the footage frame by frame. It was a blur, an indistinct shape, but it was there. They had gone looking for history, but they found something else, something alive. The chilling footage raised more questions than answers. The anomaly under scrutiny. The Odyssey's ascent to the surface was a tense and silent affair. The crew had the footage, the impossible breach, the inexplicable sound, the fleeting, pale shape. Once back on the support ship, the data was quickly analyzed by a team of oceanographers, engineers, and historians. The initial reaction was, to put it mildly, one of complete disbelief. The thing nobody tells you is how experts hate a mystery they can't solve. Their first instinct was to find a logical, conventional explanation. Could a buildup of gases from decomposition have caused a rupture? No, the science didn't support that kind of explosive force. Could it have been a secret, illegal salvage operation using explosives? Highly unlikely. The area is constantly monitored, and the damage looked like a tear, not a blast. Furthermore, nothing of value was in that specific cabin. The debate raged for weeks. Every frame of the footage was scrutinized. The sound recording was analyzed by top acoustical engineers. They filtered out the submersible's own noises and amplified the mysterious tapping. The conclusion was baffling. The sound was not a machine, nor was it any known biological source. It was consistent with metal striking metal, with a force that was, as one engineer put it, significant and deliberate. Many people are crazy about conspiracy theories, and this footage was fuel for the fire. Had someone secretly reached the Titanic years ago and left something behind? Or had the ship itself, in its slow, groaning decay, created a bizarre acoustic anomaly? What many overlooked was the visual evidence. The sound could be debated, but the hole was there. A 3-foot-wide wound opened from the inside out. You see, the Titanic wreck site is a complex and dynamic environment. It's being consumed by a unique bacteria that creates the rusticles, eating away at the hull at a rate of hundreds of pounds per day. At the same time, the extreme cold and lack of oxygen preserve other materials, like wood and leather, in an almost perfect state. It's a place of both rapid decay and eerie preservation. But nothing in the known science of the wreck's decomposition could explain what the Odyssey filmed. The team expanded their research, looking into reports from other deep-sea expeditions around the world. They found scattered accounts of strange sounds and unexplained phenomena from other wrecks, but nothing as clear and well-documented as this. They were in uncharted territory, facing a terrifying possibility that they had stumbled upon something entirely new to science, hidden in the most famous tomb on Earth. The mystery of the Titanic was no longer just about why it sank, but about what has been happening within its dark, silent halls for the last century. But the most disturbing theory was yet to come. The terrifying possibility. So, what is the truth? After more than a century resting in the crushing darkness of the North Atlantic, the world's most famous shipwreck is back in the headlines, but not for the reasons you'd think. This isn't about rusticles or decaying grandeur. This is about a new, active mystery. Are we missing a key detail in the ship's final chapter? For the millions of people captivated by its story, the Titanic has just delivered its biggest and most unsettling puzzle yet. The source of this new enigma is the recent Odyssey mission, a deep-sea survey intended to create the most detailed 3D map of the wreck to date. But something went wrong, or perhaps something went unexpectedly right. The official report from that mission remains classified, locked away from public scrutiny. The breathtaking, high-resolution footage has not been released. All we have are a few grainy stills, allegedly leaked by a conscience-stricken crew member, that have spread like wildfire through the shadowed corners of online forums. They hint at something that shouldn't be there. A strange, smooth patch on the hull, an unnatural breach that doesn't match the known patterns of decay. Why the intense secrecy? The official line is that the data is inconclusive and requires years of further study before any definitive statement can be made. It's a classic bureaucratic deflection, but insiders speaking under the cloak of anonymity whisper a far more chilling reason. The implications of what they found are simply too disturbing for public consumption. It fundamentally challenges our understanding of the deep sea, a place we comfort ourselves by imagining as a barren, lifeless desert. But what if it isn't? What if it's a thriving, hidden world with inhabitants we are not prepared to meet? Let's ground this in a down-to-earth perspective. The most shocking and humbling fact is that humanity knows more about the surface of Mars and the dark side of the Moon than we do about our own planet's ocean floor. It is the last great, unexplored frontier. For decades, scientists have been astounded by the discovery of bizarre new life forms clustered around hydrothermal vents, creatures that thrive in total darkness, under pressures that would crush a submarine, living off a diet of pure chemicals belched from the Earth's core. These are beings that look like they were pulled from a science fiction movie. Giant tube worms with blood-red plumes, blind crabs scuttling over volcanic rock, and ghostly fish that navigate a world without light. Could some unknown, undiscovered form of this deep-sea life have made the Titanic its home? Is it possible that the pale, smooth shape seen in the footage was not a trick of the light or a digital artifact, but a glimpse of a colossal organism never before seen by human eyes? A creature capable of burrowing into solid steel, or one that is drawn to the slow leaching of metals from the decaying wreck? This isn't a ghost story. The evidence suggests something far more tangible. The infamous tapping sounds reported by previous expeditions, once dismissed as creaking metal, are being re-examined. The newly discovered breach is real. The question is, what caused it? The Titanic's secrets are far from over. What do you think is making noise inside the wreck? Has humanity's greatest maritime disaster become a habitat for something unknown? Let us know below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.